Hello, Master Race, and welcome to World of Darkness, the new 24 Lala dungeon introduced with patch 2.5. In order to get you accurate information in the fastest amount of time, I'm going to make this guide everyone's favorite length, short. With that said, let's begin. First up, we fight a giant flying eyeball. The first thing you're likely to notice about this boss is that he shoots out a laser beam in front of him, so don't stand in front of him unless you're a meaty Lala. Throughout the encounter, he will do double vision, a raid-wide AoE that's white in front of him and red behind him. Getting hit by a color will make you more vulnerable to getting hit by that same color again, so try to get hit by the opposite color every time he does this. The next mechanic you'll see is level 100 Flare. One Lala gets snared in the middle of a telegraph, and if there is an even number of players in the AoE, they all take damage. The boss will also use a raid-wide AoE with a cast bar called Mortal Gaze. If it hits you, you will get Doom status. You can avoid Mortal Gaze by turning away from the boss before the cast finishes, but if it hits you, you can clear Doom by running to a glowing platform. Next, we have this stupid freaking roulette ability. When time runs out, everyone in the selected area gets stunned and dies seconds afterwards. How do you tell how much time is remaining? Hell if I know, but killing 3 of the hourglasses will extend the amount of time before the roulette finishes. Killing the 4th hourglass will end the ability. So you want to kill the first 3 hourglasses as fast as you can, and then coordinate the death of the 4th one so nobody dies. Good luck. Mortal Gaze can still happen while this is going on, so if you're a stabby Lala, it helps if you burn hourglasses while your back is turned to the big guy. There are also some rando ads during the fight that meaty Lalas should pick up while stabby Lalas burn them down. Lastly, we have level 150 Death. One person gets trapped in the AoE, and if there is any multiple of 3 Lalas in it, they all die. That means if there are 3, 6, 9, 12, etc. number of Lalas in the zone when the cast finishes, everyone inside gets an automatic job promotion to Carpet Lala. Master those mechanics and you'll easily defeat the boss. Alternatively, don't master any of the mechanics and just have one of your Healy Lalas do a limit break 3 after everyone dies. That seems to work just as well. The next boss is a dragon with 5 mouths, who obviously doesn't understand the Lalafell wisdom of less is more. He's a simple beast, and even though he has 5 heads, he's a 2-trick pony. Throughout the fight, he'll do one of his 2 combination attacks, Fire and Ice, or Thunder and Poison. Fire and Ice is easy to deal with. Ice circles will spawn on the ground that you want to stay out of. 1 or 2 random Lalas will be tethered to fire dragonflies. The 2 off-tanks should attempt to steal these tethers before the victims become roasted Lalas. Thunder and Poison is also easy to manage. White globes called Prominences will spawn and start a long cast of an ability called Radiance. I have no idea what this does, but the mobs don't need to be tanked, so stabby Lalas can burn them down quickly. Poison slimes will spawn too, which need to be picked up ASAP and kept separate from each other. They don't hit very hard and die fairly quickly, so any Lala can pick them up and kill them, but if 2 slimes touch each other, they merge into a big slime, which requires a lot more effort to kill. Occasionally, a Lala will receive a purple mark above their head, indicating that they are about to receive lethal damage. Don't be greedy, share it with 2 other Lalas, and nobody will die instead. At the 70% mark, the boss will begin casting Disco Dance, his ultimate attack. You can now target his heads directly, and every Lala needs to start burning down his heads. Each time you kill a head, the cast bar will reset, but it will cast faster than before, so make sure you kill each head quickly. Once all heads are dead, the boss will fire a wimpy version of Disco Dance and the fight repeats. The final mechanic is Pyretic, which happens around 21%, and is surprisingly not a made-up word. Taking any actions or moving while this debuff is on you will cause you to take damage, so do what Elizans do best. Stand still and look smug. Once your stabby Lalas are finished honing their skills on this scale-covered training dummy, grab your loot and march onwards. While not a boss, the 3 small folk kennels need a bit of finesse to take down. Split your Lalians into 3 separate groups and have each group stack on their meaty Lala. If you get a crosshair on you, run to the other side of the mob and prepare to be kenneled. Shortly after being caged like a Corel on an airship, you'll be spit out onto the lower platform, and you can use a jump pad to get back up. To keep the jump pads activated on the lower platform, the circles on the upper platform must be touched when they light up. Each group will kill their kennel multiple times while dealing with an ad, and eventually the mobs will give up and you can move on. Too big to fit in those kennels, the next boss is the resident gimp of the World of Darkness. He might look tough on the outside, but as every Lala knows, it's the inside that counts. So we're gonna help him out by shoving 34.2 inches of purebred Lalafell hardness down his throats. Before the fight begins, designate one of the 3 groups in the Alliance to be the Lalanatrix group. They're going to be the special force that penetrates the Gimp's tough defenses, but they won't be going in dry. When he gets to about 90% health, the Gimp is going to break free of his chains and rampage violently while drooling all over the floor. Many AoEs will spawn, as well as Wolfsbane flowers which need to be tanked and killed. A gastric juice mob will spawn and every Lala needs to avoid it except for the pre-designated Lalanatrix group. Getting hit by the pulsing AoE will allow the Lalanatrix group to attain final form status, and once they're lubed up and ready to go, they need to locate the puddle of vomit and get sucked inside it. This disgusting display will gain the attention of the Gimp and he'll attempt to eat you, but lucky for us, this Gimp swallows. While in the bowels of the Bondslave, red slimes will spawn that should be tanked by the meaty Lala, but ignored by everyone else. The stabby Lalas will instead focus on bleeding the Gimp's stomach walls, which need to die fast. If all of the stomach walls are destroyed quickly enough, the Gimp will kneel in submission and the Lalanatrix party will be evacuated via a wave of pure innuendo coursing through the Gimp's body. Once the Gimp starts kneeling, 2 Lalas from the exterior groups need to grab a chain from each of the northern towers and affix them to the Gimp's harness. Then, the whole Alliance can resume beating the piss out of him until the process repeats. There are only a few additional things to watch out for. Don't stand behind the Gimp unless you fancy being slapped by a furry noodle, stay away from the lightning balls unless you're looking to be permanently turned off, and don't stand in front of the Gimp when he's casting Hound out of Hell unless you want to receive a thrust to the face. After a couple of attempts, you should be able to put this boss and all of its lewd innuendos behind you. The final boss of the World of Darkness is perhaps Square Enix's most fearsome monster ever created, a Rogadin woman. But stand your ground, Lalas, this ugly behemoth is the last thing standing between you and your fancy new loot. Like most Rogadin women, this boss attacks primarily by shooting lasers from her face, but she also has some deadly tricks up her sleeves. Throughout the encounter, a Lala will be targeted by faint particle beam, but after the initial impact, this AoE will continue to follow the targeted Lala. As if being subjected to her hideous face wasn't enough, this harlot is going to make you run, and the only thing we Lalas hate more than running is every other race in Eorzea. The boss will periodically disappear from the platform and jump to a new location. Locate her new position immediately and move to her side in order to avoid being blasted by a giant laser. She'll also cause particle beams to rain down from the sky, which will do a lot of raid-wide damage unless they're intercepted by at least 1 Lala. Shortly after reaching 60% health, she'll go into her smoking phase. During this phase, dark clouds and dark storms will spawn at the edge of the platform and quickly creep towards her. For every dark cloud inhaled, the boss will gain 1 stack of emphysema, and for every dark storm inhaled, she'll gain 3 stacks. Stabby Lalas need to destroy the clouds and storms as fast as possible in order to minimize the amount of stacks the boss gains, and they can slow down the speed at which the clouds and storms move by standing inside them. During this phase, particle beams will still occur, so make sure to intercept the circles when they show up. After the boss has finished taking the longest dragon known history, she will cough on the entire raid, doing damage proportional to her stacks. If she has 4 or more stacks, a raid wipe is extremely likely. The next phase of the fight is something you'll probably recognize from watching certain anime while your web browser is in incognito mode. A bunch of tentacles will pop out of the ground, but luckily you don't have to kill them. Dealing any amount of damage to them will send them scurrying back into the floor and prevent them from doing something that Square Enix would have to apologize for. Finally, 3 pentagons will appear on the platform, with a hypercharged cloud inside. Each group needs to quickly get inside their separate hexagons and kill their clouds, as walls will rise to shield the clouds from outside attacks while it attempts to hotbox anyone inside. After the clouds have been destroyed, the boss returns to the platform, and the fight repeats. After she's down, congratulations! You've cleared the World of Darkness. Don't forget to roll need on that piece of gear that actually isn't an upgrade for you, so you lock yourself out of loot for a week. Thank you for taking the time to watch this guide. My name is Krip Tini, and remember, Lalas, you don't have to be happy to make a good guide.